Everybody, so basically, this is the third day that I've been working on this expression changed after it's been checked error. Oh, I forgot to. Yeah, I'm Marty, the JavaScript party. This is Rhett. Well, you can't see her. She actually stepped off camera. Um, I have a new plant that I put over there, and she has decided that she is curious about it. So we'll see. Actually, it's not a new plant, but I just moved, changed its location. But anyway, so I'm dealing with this expression change after it's been checked error, and it turned out to be exactly what I want, what I thought. And I guess after the last couple days, I've come up with sort of what I think is a better way to explain it. But basically, in this camera right here, I display this number. It's 1.57, blah 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 blah, and I believe what it's upset about is that the number got set to one by because that's what I defaulted. So a camera aspect of one is saying that it's the same width as the height. But and that's what I just defaulted to. But then at some point I calculate what actual width and height the div is, and then I set uh, the aspect to 1.57. So basically, what happens is like the camera will distort something to fit sort of the size that it is. So the size of the screen that's looking on. So if you don't set that camera the aspect ratio to the same on the screen, it'll look weird. And I do think that that is very common in a lot of ThreeJS things that I see. I'll see that it looks kind of off. The shape of the object looks off, and it's because the camera's aspect ratio is not set to the same size as the width and the height. And I don't know exactly why that needs to be done that way, but it does look weird if you don't. But anyways, so by default, I set it to one because it's got to be set to something. It's a required value, and then it gets reset to 1.57, and that whole thing in this um, right here, that all happens faster um, than the JavaScript can set can update it. So basically, in effect, what happened was it was never set. It was never one. Went from one to 1.57. It was never displayed on the screen. So and if you're anything like me, you're like, so who cares, right? Just show whatever it is. I don't care if it was one for 100th of a second, and now it's 1.57. I don't care. But anyways, normally, quite often, once I start looking at these, I can't stand this error, and I do think that one day in the future, one of the Angular upgrades are gonna be like, "Yeah, we quit showing this error because it doesn't really mean anything." But it seems to be a red flag. Like it always seems. Every time I end up working on it, I find some sort of, I find the code to be confusing and weird. And then it helps me clean the code up, and that's what I believe has happened this time. But once it's cleaned up, it's still going to be broken, is my guess. And then I'll have to add additional code, probably in the template, to say, hey, don't show it till it's been initialized. But basically, that's what I came up with, is that hey, I need to mark the camera as not initialized until I've actually calculated it properly. So don't worry about it until it's been initialized. It's basically in English what I'm trying to say here. So in the camera manager, I have this camera um, interface. And so what I can do is I can go to the interface and I'll just say that I have a required um, thing called initialized, a required attribute called initialized, and it is a Boolean. And so when I go and save this, basically it's going to break the transpiler, which is exactly what you want. Um, Basically, it's going to tell you everywhere where you didn't set the initialized. So, um, I don't know why that happened. I'm going to hold the control button down and I'm going to click there. I was clicking on the error and then that was weird. But So right here, um, so basically I did this one weird and I regretted it later, and that's that I have a different camera item based on whether it's orthographic or perspective. So the difference between an orthographic camera and a perspective camera is a perspective camera changes the size of things based on how far they are away from you, whereas an orthographic camera does not. So basically, when you're looking at something and something else is farther away, like let's say there's a light on, let's say I have a light and then I have an item and I have another item. If it's orthographic, there'll be a shadow, and but the size will be the same. So you'll be able to tell the difference because maybe one will be blocking the other as if they were together, but and there'll be a shadow on it, but it will be the same size. And then perspective, they'll one that's farther away will be smaller and there'll be a shadow on it. I don't know why you'd ever want orthographic, but it was something I learned because of this application. Now I know that if it's orthographic, the animated is that it has been um, initialized because um, it always I started off as a perspective. So I'm just gonna kind of take a cheap, easy fix there and just set it to true because I know it can't be false at this point. Um, Now it is broken here too. This last thing is just telling you why it's broken. I don't know why it doesn't look different, and it just says initialized is declared here. But it's telling us that this one was set to, and I'm going to set initialized equals to false here. And so basically, this camera item gets set to true. It gets calculated in this. There is a set perspective or set dims, I believe it was called. Control F, set dims. Dims. Maybe it doesn't happen in. Where am I? Oh, so I'm in the camera service. So I believe that happens in the 3 service actually. Um, yeah, set dims. Um, so basically, the thing is this camera. See, I set the camera item aspect here. So that was probably a mistake. And in my new one, I probably won't make this issue. So this is sort of like a really good example of why I'm creating a new application after the first of this year. Because when I first created this, I had the ThreeJS service. So it made a lot of sense. Like I had code and then there was stuff that was ThreeJS specific. So I moved all the ThreeJS specific stuff. The concept of me having data that or the Showtime data and the ThreeJS data being separate didn't exist, but it ended up needing to be necessary because there is data about an object that isn't actually used, like the starting and ending point, stuff like that, that's about the object. Another piece of data that's about like the camera is the look at. Like 3GS doesn't store that information. So the camera, like you set where it's going to look at, but then the camera just does what it does, and then it never calculates what it's looking at anymore. Um, so that's something that I care about. So I ended up having to kind of separate those two concepts, and it ended up being necessary for a lot of reasons. But now that they're separated, this is weird, right? Because in the camera, I should be setting the camera aspect, but I'm not. Um, so this is where I'll also set this dot camera service, camera service dot camera item dot uh, initialized, and I'll say now it's equal to true because it has been initialized. So basically, and then basically I added this yesterday, I believe, and this basically publishes that it's been initialized. So basically, what was happening was I was only getting one publish, and that was a publish that said, "Hey, uh, it got set up," but the the component here, it actually had a reference to the original. And so since it had reference to the original, it actually just updated behind the scenes. And that is not what caused the problem. The problem was that it happened so fast that it was updated. But, it is a bit of a problem. So now this is not going to solve my problem. Thank you, Red. Thank you for the energy. See, I still have the problem. Let's go to the console. And unfortunately, in this up here, see, we have the aspect of that and that. Now, it was not initialized at this point, but it's still going to show. It's just going to show the latest value, the current value, which is weird. I don't even see initialized in here. Oh, there, initialized. Initialized is equal to true, but it was actually false. So if we were to actually go in here and put a debug statement in there and hit reload, see the first time through, this camera item initialized is false, and even though it showed it is true in the console. Then if we run this again, the next time initialized is true, right? So basically, this gets called once when it's set up, and then it gets called again when it's initialized. That did not solve our problem, but it did. It again, it made the code a lot more reasonable. Like it's easier to understand what's going on. You have additional data. Now, what should fix it, what I believe will fix it, is in the template itself. I can go into the template. See, I haven't. Yeah. I think I would probably have this there because I ran into this problem in the past. But in this template, I could just say, I believe it's at if and then camera item dot initialized. So basically, we should only show that if it's initialized. Otherwise, we just won't do anything. And I believe this historically has been fixes it because basically it won't show. It won't even try to calculate this to put it on the screen. So let's see if this went away. Oh, let's go ahead and get rid of this debugger. Oh no. Oh, interesting. Okay, so something else went from -1 to 0. What is? So it is upset that the camera item went from mesh service line 53 and it's line 1. Previous value -1, current value 0, expression location. Okay, so that is weird. And it's strange that it's upset about when it's trying to load this thing. Expression changed. I wonder what the -1 was, and is now 0. this is such a strange place because this is where we load that, and it's part of the mesh, and but it's complaining in the perspective data component.html. So let's just do this just for fun, just for funsies. And we'll just go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so we still have even though we're not doing anything there. Oh, but I still have the if initialized. Okay, so let's undo both of those and let's just get rid of all of this. Let's say hello world. And see if that goes away. So it is gone, right? Like it is gone when I don't do that. And it's upset because I'm saying if camera item initialized. I wonder why that. Okay, so let's go a different route then. And I don't know if this is going to work. And this is like I thought for sure that other thing was going to work. I'm just dumbfounded that it didn't. Historically, it's worked for me just to check to see if it exists, its existence. Let's do this. Let's try it in here. Up in here. Let's see. Oh, we still have the same problem. And it's complaining about the camera item aspect. And it's saying, what's it saying it changed it to? From null. See, I was a little worried about that. So now let's try this. See, now I'm just like taking stabs in the dark. At if. Woo. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Camera item. I think she actually senses stress. Do you sense stress? Is that what's going on? So we're gonna say if camera item exists. Let's see if that makes the problem go away. And now it's back to complaining about zeros and ones. So I wonder if when I go to, so yeah, so I'm going to try one other thing. Okay, I'm going to find the other place where I publish. So this is update camera. I don't know if this is the one that's calling. It's probably this one, but update camera. And then, so like now I feel like, okay, I'm happy with the way the code works and everything, but it's still broken. And I have found that that is almost always I'm pretty sure it's got to be update camera. And this is how it almost always works. Is like, okay, thank you. I am not happy with effect was called undefined. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not happy with how it was called, but where is? So I didn't get either of those. I'm not. Yeah. I'm happy with the way the code works, but Um, okay, so there's this one. We got that one. We got this one. So we do have a set dims, right? Set dims. So effect was called, and everything was set to undefined. Now, why was the effect called? Right, so, ooh, let's try this. One last thing, and then I'm signing off. Let's do this. And this. Dot initialized. Okay, and that's a boolean, so we can just be like that. So don't even run this code unless it's initialized. Let's see, no whammies, no wham. Oh, and so now it's complaining that the expression location goes from -1 to 0, so we don't even know what went from -1 to 0. All we know is that something went from -1 to 0, and it's upset because of this value in here. Oh, but I still have the camera item thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of the camera item thing and see what happens. And I think we'll go back to the complaining that it's null. So yeah, so now it's saying, hey, it went from null to 1.53. I keep saying, and this is it. And then if I, okay, so if I wrap it, it'll be upset. If I just get rid of this, it'll go away. Oh, it didn't. Oh, it's probably not. Oh, oh, current value 70. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Oh, and that's because I didn't run it the first time. Okay, so let's see this. Here I go again. App perspective data. Let's see if we add it here. Okay, why do I have a camera type? Okay. So this, we are in, where are we? We are in the camera manager. Let's see, let's look at this view and this camera. So I don't ever set the whole camera. tools. Oh wait, maybe this doesn't know though, because it doesn't listen. Yeah, so this actually has no idea what's going on with the camera up here at the top. I was thinking maybe I could like not even show it unless it's initialized. But it looks like that. Now, okay, so now let's go up a little higher into the toolbox itself. The toolbox is what holds all of these things here. So Mesh Manager toolbox. App Camera Manager. So let's see what the toolbox knows. See, it doesn't know anything. Yeah, so I just don't even know it. Oh, did I? Yeah. I'm almost like, honestly, like I'm so close to just doing the set timeout solution. Um, so get rid of this completely. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, get rid of this completely. And then just say get rid of that completely. And then just say set timeout. Now this was sort of like right when I first ran into this problem. I was like, okay, this solves the problem. No one likes this answer. Um, but it seems to fix, it seems to make Angular happy. I'm sure it doesn't make the Angular developers happy. So now, basically, what happened was um, it gave it time to write it, to write it as one. And then by the time the user or any of us ever could even visually see it, it's 1.57. Sometimes if whatever you're showing is on the screen, um, that can be like you might see the one for a second, for just a fraction of a second, and and it changes, and that can be like a problem. So you might still want to add like an if statement around there to only show it once it's initialized. Um, but while I was hoping to come up with a better answer than this, I think this is the best answer I can come up with at the moment, is to just add this set timeout hack. Um, I don't like it. I don't think I've never met anyone who likes this answer, um, this solution, but that's like the only thing I can come up with at the moment. I'll definitely be obsessing about this for the next 48 hours or for the next 24 hours until I do my video tomorrow. Um, so, if I think of anything, I'll try it, and if not, I will just commit this, and I'll just hold my nose and commit this silly hack, um, with uncertain or with a certain knowledge that uh, I have not advanced, unfortunately. And oh, are we back? Yeah, that's weird. What did I do? Let's see. It was gone, right? It was gone. Let's make it 3 seconds so we have time to watch it change. Let's see. Let's go back. And so it's gone with 3 seconds. If you wait 3 seconds, it is gone. So I don't know. Maybe that thing didn't compile. Let's make it 1 second. We won't probably can't click over and see the fruits of our crime. Let's try 100. So this is a tenth of a second. Let's try. So this is 100th of a second. Let's try. This is 1,000th of a second. 1,000th of a second. 0 of a second. Okay, so that other code must not have, we must not have been looking at the compiled code. So anyways, yeah, I don't know what just happened there. That was weird. So this fixes it. This is not good. I've worked at places like where we literally have just created a function that does this. Or if you do it in like RxJS, it does look a little cleaner. But yeah, I would love to know a better solution to this to making that error go away. Let's see. We tried that the other day and that did not work. It used to work. Yeah, see that used to work. So like I know I've worked at places where we had hundreds of these, thousands of these. And so if they update to Angular 19, all of these are all back for them, all of those issues. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I wonder. Yeah, I just can't think of anything to do. I think the fact that literally, the reason this works is because there's an async cycle, and so that async cycle might run 100 or 200 times per second, but every 60th of a second it attempts to update the screen. And so by moving it to the next async cycle, it was able to update the screen with the one, I believe with the one. And actually, I guess it would it be useful? Like we could put a debugger right there and see, because it gets called twice. So and then sometimes, especially when you're dealing with things like this, the debugger actually affects the. Yeah, so this would work better if we could actually see it. But unfortunately, it happened so fast that it was loaded. But anyways, yeah, as I've said, I'm not thrilled with this solution. I wouldn't expect anybody else who's watching this to be thrilled with this solution. And I just don't know a better solution. I thought I've done things in the past that where I was able to get around, make that error go away. I do appreciate the error because, like I do think this code makes a lot more sense now than it used to. I don't know if we probably don't need the initialize thing, but it didn't make sense before when it was just getting called once per update. It probably would make a lot of sense. It might, like in the next one, I don't know. I've gone back and forth. Like, should I have a, um, should I have another, um, so should I have, should this be a different object? Should it not be a direct link, or should I do like a copy of it and then store a different one? I don't think there's any benefit to that whatsoever. Just having two copies of the same object. Um, I don't think that is. It's probably not a good. Like it's a good practice in that it could keep things from getting very confusing, like what just happened. But it's a bad practice in that with this, I could foresee a future with this application. Let's say I just continued on it linearly, where there might be thousands of of things on the screen. So then, if I had copies of all these things, they could be, it could get to be, maybe there's even millions of them. It could get to be an actual issue, um, and then so I think making copies is probably a bad idea when you think that you might have uh, a a ton of like thousands and thousands and thousands of objects. That the memory could be an issue. But 37 minutes. I am done with this. Tomorrow, I'm just either gonna try something new, hopefully not, or I'm done. I've definitely spent an hour and a half on this. Uh, 3 sessions, an hour and a half trying to chase down this expression change after it has been checked error. I can't even imagine, like, if you were to add up on a corporate level how many millions of hours have been spent on this bug, on this error that shows up in the console log. And ever I never ever one time saw an actual practical benefit from tracking down these bugs. I mean, for me, as someone who just is really interested and fascinated by this kind of stuff, um, it's worth it because I enjoy, sort of digging into all these things. But I don't know that corporate world has benefited at all, or any really practical applications have benefited from this bug. I feel like it's something they probably should remove from from their from their application. They used to have this thing where it this cyclical error that would show up, like in the compile. It would say, oh, there's a cyclical blah 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 error, and people spent like hundreds of hours trying to fix that error, and then I don't know, like Angular 16 or something like that. They're like, yeah, we just deleted that error. And I think Sanity finally took hold, and it was just like, this error is not bringing any value, and I don't believe this error, this expression change after it has been checked error, is actually bringing any value. It is a pretty interesting red flag, um, but I don't think it actually brings value. That's just my opinion, of course, and it's worth what you paid for it. So happy coding, everybody. Bye.